Have you ever felt like your family was slowly draining the life out of you, and one day you just snapped? That's exactly what happened to me. After years of being the unpaid family bank and emergency fund, I finally said, enough. It started with an Easter visit, armed with wine and chocolate, and ended with me cutting off their electricity, water, and internet. My mom's cold dismissal was the last straw, and when I walked away, I didn't look back. But it wasn't just about bills, it was about reclaiming my life. Want to see how it all unfolded? Stay tuned and subscribe for more stories. You're not welcome this Easter, my mom whispered. Fine, but don't expect my $10,000 anymore, I said as I canceled the electricity, water, and internet at their house. Don't come in. Those were the first words she spoke when she opened the door. No hug, no smile, no happy Easter, honey. Just 3 cold, flat words that hit me like a punch to the gut. I stood there on the porch, a bottle of wine in one hand and a basket of handmade chocolate eggs in the other. I even wore the light blue shirt she used to like, the one she said made my eyes pop. She used to say it with pride. Now, she wouldn't even look at me. What? You're kidding, right? My mom glanced behind her, then stepped out, closing the door almost all the way, leaving just a sliver open, like I was some kind of threat. It's better if you didn't come in today, she whispered, her words freezing the air around me. I drove 3 hours to be here. I know, she said quietly, but things are tense, and Olia said she wouldn't come if you were here. Of course, Olivia. I should have known she was behind this. She always was. Laughter echoed from inside, the clink of wine glasses. Uncle James probably chuckled. Cheers to real family being together. Then Olivia's voice, sugary sweet, rang out. Honestly, this year feels so peaceful. No negativity, no drama. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. Instead, I just smiled a calm, knowing smile that said, "You have no idea what's coming." You know what? I said, pulling out my phone. Fine. Enjoy your peaceful Easter, but don't expect my $10,000 anymore. My mom's expression shifted. She blinked, clearly confused. What money? She asked slowly. I looked her straight in the eye. The electricity, the water, the internet, the bills I've been paying every month for this house. The services you said you needed just until Dad got back on his feet. Guess what? They're all in my name, and I just shut them off. Her mouth opened, then closed. She turned pale. What? You didn't tell me. You didn't. I tilted my phone. See this app? 1 tap. I pressed my thumb against the screen. Lights out. From inside, I heard Olivia shout, "The Wi-Fi just cut off. What was that?" Mom, lost lunch. Phone's gone, I muttered, but I stepped back. Happy Easter, I said, turning away. I walked back to my car. No one followed. No one apologized. As I sat behind the wheel, I saw Olivia appear in the doorway behind my mom, face flushed with rage, holding her phone high. Are you crazy? We were about to have lunch. I rolled down the window and called back. Call your real family. Maybe they'll pay the bills next month. Then, with no guilt, no second thoughts, I drove away. That was the moment I stopped being their personal utility company and became the ghost they couldn't exploit anymore. I used to tell myself I was helping, that I was the responsible one, that family meant sacrifice. I told myself a lot of things, like the time my dad called me in the middle of a meeting. Power's getting shut off, he said bluntly. What? Again? I whispered, stepping out into the hallway. Just for a couple days, he said. If you can cover it, I'll send it back by Friday. He never sent it back, and I paid anyway, like always. My family has a long history of taking without asking, and me? I have a long history of letting them. When Dad lost his job 3 years ago, I stepped in to help with the utilities. When Mom needed a dental procedure that wasn't urgent but made her insecure, I covered it. When Olivia couldn't afford to renew her car lease, I co-signed the new one and paid the first 6 months. At first, it felt good. I was the dependable one, the one who had it together. But slowly, that admiration turned into expectation, then entitlement, then disdain. You're so lucky you don't have kids, Olivia would say at dinner. All your money is just yours. That must be nice. You mean the money I used to pay for your bills? I replied once. Oh, please, she scoffed. Don't act like it's charity. You like feeling superior. Mom chimed in. She didn't mean it like that. No, I meant exactly that, Olivia said, smirking. You think we should bow down because you pay a couple bills? A couple bills? Let's talk about a couple bills. Water, $83 per month. Electricity, $200 per month. Internet, $89 per month. Streaming, mobile plans, random Amazon orders. See, I stopped counting. I checked my bank app last month and realized I'd sent $10,000 in the last 12 months alone, and yet, to them, I was still the bitter, selfish brother who never smiled in family photos. The worst part? I wasn't even surprised anymore. A few weeks ago, I overheard a conversation I wasn't supposed to hear. I came by the house unannounced to drop off some groceries and heard laughter from the kitchen. He's so uptight, Olivia said. You think paying a few bills made him king of the world? Mom added. He's probably just lonely. Dad chimed in. He works too much. All that money and no one to spend it on. At least he's good for something. I'd cry if I had to pay my own internet, Olivia said. They all laughed. I stood frozen on the porch, grocery bags in hand. No one saw me. I turned and left without saying a word. Later that night, I canceled the autopay on their Netflix and Disney+. Olivia texted the next day. Did the Wi-Fi glitch or did you forget to pay again? I didn't reply, but the real breaking point came 2 months ago. I logged into my bank account to transfer money and noticed something strange. Multiple Apple Pay purchases I didn't recognize. A new MacBook, a wellness retreat, subscriptions, designer clothes, all billed to the card I'd once given my mom just in case of emergencies. I called her immediately. Did you buy a MacBook? Oh, that was for Olivia. She needed one for work and the retreat. She was going through a rough patch. Then, with my money, she got quiet. You make more than all of us combined, she said softly. It's not like you can't afford it. I hung up without saying a word. For days, I debated whether to confront them, but then I remembered something Olivia had said during last Thanksgiving. We all play our roles. Mine is being fabulous. Yours is paying for the turkey. She laughed. Everyone laughed. I forced a smile and swallowed my pride. But now I couldn't even look at a turkey without wanting to scream. Easter was supposed to be the one time of year when we all pretended to care about each other. I bought gifts for the kids, took time off work, even made reservations for Sunday brunch. A week before, I got a text from Mom. Hey, sweetie, could you make sure the utility payments are squared away before the weekend? Olivia is hosting an egg hunt at the house. Yet, I didn't respond, but I paid $300 to make sure they had everything they needed. Zero gratitude in return. And then Easter came. I showed up with wine and chocolate, and they shut the door in my face. You're not welcome this Easter, Mom said. Olivia made sure I heard it. Honestly, it just feels better without the moodiness, she called from inside. Let's keep it light this year. They wanted light? I gave them darkness, no electricity, no water, no internet. I sat in my car, watching the house slowly fall into darkness. The porch light flickered off, the lawn sprinklers stopped. 5 minutes later, Olivia burst out the front door, waving her phone like a weapon. What did you do? She screamed. I rolled down the window. Enjoy Easter, I said, the way you wanted, without me. And I drove off, finally realizing that sometimes the only way to heal is to cut the cord. I didn't even make it home before the calls started. First Mom, then Dad, then Olivia, again and again and again. My phone buzzed so hard it nearly slipped off the seat. I ignored them all until one message came in from Dad that made me laugh out loud. You're being dramatic. Come back and fix this. Fix this? You mean your water, your internet, your idea of a functional family? No thanks. 2 hours later, they showed up at my place. I heard the knock but didn't move. Let them stew. Let them feel something for once. Then I heard shouting. You're seriously going to ignore your own mother on Easter? Open the door right now or we're calling the police, Olivia screamed. This is abuse, she yelled louder. I opened the door just as Olivia raised her hand to knock again. She stumbled forward, nearly falling inside. Get in, I said flatly. But if any of you raise your voice, I'm calling the cops myself." They stormed in, Mom crying, Dad pacing, Olivia screaming, "You think this is funny? We had guests over, children. Do you know what it's like to explain to a 5-year-old why the bathroom won't flush?" "Yeah," I said, sitting down. "You explained to them that their aunt and uncle expect me to cover everything." Boom. Silence. Mom gasped. Olivia's eyes went wide. Dad clenched his fists. "How dare you speak to your family like that?" Mom snapped. "Family?" I raised an eyebrow. "The same family who told me not to come because I ruined the vibe? The same one that laughed behind my back about how useful I am? The same one that used my money like a refillable faucet?" Dad stepped forward. "You're overreacting." "No," I said. "I'm done reacting. I'm acting. Finally." Olivia crossed her arms. "You think this makes you powerful? Cutting off the utilities just to prove a point?" "No," I replied. "This makes me free." She snorted. "You're being ridiculous. Honestly, you've always had this martyr complex. You want applause for paying some bills." "You mean the $10,000 I spent last year?" I snapped. "The money that paid for your heating, your Zoom therapy, your new iPhone, your fake Paris business trip that was actually a spa week in Palm Springs?" Her face went white. "You went through my stuff? You used my credit card for the plane ticket. I get the statements, genius." Dad tried to change the subject. "Okay, look, we've clearly made some mistakes. I cut him off. "Dad, you told me to my face that I had no place at the table, that Olivia deserved the help more because she has a future. You looked me in the eye and said that I was angry." He said quietly, "No, I said, you were honest for once." Mom reached out. "Sweetheart, please, we're family. Can we just reset? Undo what you did?" "No," I said coldly. "Because you didn't just shut me out this Easter, you shut me out years ago. You've been fine taking what you need, but the second I say no, I'm the villain." Olivia was shaking now. She'd gone from red-faced fury to quiet rage. "You'll regret this," she said through her teeth. "You think cutting us off will make you feel better? You'll be alone." "Good," I said. "Alone is better than being bled dry by people who smile when I walk in and spit on my name when I leave." Silence. A heavy, electric silence that wrapped the whole room in static. Then I stood up. "Here's what's going to happen," I said calmly. "You'll find another way to pay the utilities. You'll transfer the car lease off my name within 30 days. You'll stop using my Netflix, my Spotify, and my Amazon Prime. If you don't, I'll lock it all down permanently." "You wouldn't," Dad started. "Try me," I said. "And Mom, if you ever try to guilt trip me again with our son, just remember, sons deserve love, not invoices." Mom started to cry. Dad looked down. "Olivia," she stormed out the door, slamming it so hard a picture frame tilted sideways. And I didn't care. I didn't follow, didn't explain, didn't fix anything. For the first time in my life, I didn't try to make it better. I closed the door, locked it behind them, and exhaled. The war was over, and I'd finally won. The silence afterward was unreal. No calls, no texts, no sudden knocks on the door. It was like they collectively decided I didn't exist. And you know what? It felt amazing. For the first time in years, I woke up without that dull pressure in my chest, the one that whispers, "What will they need from you today?" No more scanning my bank app to check if I had enough to cover their latest emergency. No more fake group chats where they sent each other memes and left my messages on scene. No more guilt-drenched holidays where I bought gifts for everyone and got socks in return. I was free, and the quiet was beautiful. I started sleeping better, eating better, living better. I bought a cheap second-hand guitar and started teaching myself chords. I reconnected with college friends I hadn't seen in years. I signed up for a photography class just because I'd always wanted to, but never had the time or energy or space to exist. For once, every cent I earned went toward me, my rent, my groceries, my future. It felt selfish, then it felt fair, then it felt right. About a week later, Olivia posted a long Instagram story rant, black background, white text, classic passive-aggressive drama dump. Some people will leave you when you need them the most, but God sees everything and karma is real. I didn't reply, but I did screenshot it for the laughs. A few days after that, Dad called. I stared at the screen ringing 5 times, then voicemail. Hey, your mom's upset. Olivia is talking about selling her car. I don't know why you're doing this, but it's gone too far. We're family. Call us. I didn't call. Instead, I emailed Olivia the car lease transfer forms. Deadline 14 days. Subject line, you're welcome. Then came the real surprise. Kelly, my cousin's wife, reached out of nowhere. She was at the Easter gathering when everything blew up, standing quietly in the background as Olivia cursed and my mom clutched her pearls like I'd murdered someone. She messaged me late one night. I know this might be weird, but I just wanted to say thank you. I've never seen anyone in this family stand up for themselves like that. Honestly, it made me realize a lot about how they treat people. You didn't deserve that. I hope you're doing okay. I just stared at the message for a while. Someone saw it. Someone finally saw me. I wrote back, I'm better than okay for the first time in a long time. But of course, peace never lasts forever in my family. 2 weeks later, I came home to find a letter taped to my apartment door. No return address. Inside was a handwritten note from my mom. The first line, we raised you better than this. The last, you'll always be our son, even if you've forgotten what that means. I folded it in half, tossed it in the trash, and went out for tacos. Because here's the thing, they'll never understand. I didn't forget what family means, they never knew. They thought love was control, that money equaled obedience, that silence meant agreement, that sacrificing yourself was proof of loyalty. But me? I finally knew better. Now I walk into my own apartment, and it's quiet, not because I'm unwanted, but because I want the silence. I light a candle, put on some music, sit by the window, and breathe. No one's waiting for me to fail. No one's asking for a wire transfer. And for once, I don't feel like a backup plan in someone else's life. I feel like the main character in mine. You know what's wild? The world didn't end the day I told my family I was done. The sky didn't crack open. No thunder, no lightning bolt of regret, just silence and freedom. And for someone like me, someone who lived his whole damn life playing the role of the good son, that silence was everything. It wasn't empty, it was peaceful. It wasn't lonely, it was quiet, the kind of quiet that makes room for your own voice to return. For years, I couldn't even hear mine. Each morning, I'd wake up and immediately start calculating who I needed to save that day. Mom needed $300 to cover a temporary gas bill. Olivia's account had been frozen, and she had a concert she couldn't miss. Dad's credit card payment was late and would ruin his score if I didn't intervene. Every time I said yes, I shrank a little more. They didn't ask, they expected. They didn't think, they joked. They didn't see me, they used me. And I let them. I thought that's what love was supposed to feel like, suffocating. I thought being needed was the same as being wanted, but it's not. Being used is not the same thing as being loved. It took one slammed door and a disconnected power line to finally understand that. After Easter, the messages stopped. No more threats, no more pleas, no more guilt bombs wrapped up with bows. It felt like I had died and they were too polite to say it. But that ghost phase, it gave me the clearest view of my own life I've ever had. I started asking myself questions no one had ever let me ask. What do I want? Who am I outside of them? What happens if I stop being their lifeline? And you know what I found? Breath, space, joy. I learned how to cook real meals for myself, no more cereal and shame. I joined a local music jam on Saturdays. I started writing short stories, poetry, heck, even this. Turns out there's a whole person under the guilt. Then one evening, weeks after the fallout, I ran into someone at a bookstore, a girl I used to know in college, Rachel. She looked different, happier, lighter. We got coffee and started talking. At some point, she asked, "Are you still close with your family?" I paused. Then I said it, for the first time without flinching. "No," I cut them off. She blinked, then smiled. "Good." I laughed. I wasn't expecting that. Most people just stare at me like I confessed to murder. She shrugged. Most people don't know what it's like to be the family ATM. We talked for hours about boundaries, about healing, about finally choosing yourself without apologizing for it. That night, walking home, I realized I wasn't broken anymore. I was rebuilding from the ground up without them, and that was okay. Weeks turned into months. I started noticing little things that meant everything. I no longer jumped when my phone rang. I no longer stared at my bank account with dread. I no longer checked Olivia's social media, waiting for the next jab. And one day, I found myself laughing, actually laughing at a meme someone sent me. It hit me like a wave. Holy wow, I'm happy. Not because something amazing happened, but because nothing was draining me anymore. For the first time in forever, I wasn't someone else's crutch. I was just me, alive, awake, untangled. Then, the final twist. I got a voicemail from Mom. Her voice was shaky, soft, almost fragile. "Hi, sweetheart. I hope you're okay. Olivia's been going through a hard time. The house has been different without you. I know you're angry. I know we messed up. But you're still our son. We love you. I miss you." I listened to the message twice. For the first time, I didn't cry. I didn't feel pulled back in. I didn't feel guilt or rage. I just felt done. And that feeling, it wasn't cold. It was warm like standing in the sun after years in the shade. So here's what I know now. Saying no doesn't make you cruel. Setting boundaries doesn't make you hard or heartless. Walking away from toxic people, even if they're family, isn't betrayal, it's survival. And yeah, maybe my name is now a curse word at their dinner table. Maybe they'll twist the story, make me the villain, the ungrateful, the cold-hearted. Let them. They're not in my life anymore, and my life is finally mine. So, if you're reading this and you're tired of being the one who always gives, always forgives, always sacrifices while they laugh behind your back, let me be the proof you're allowed to stop. You're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to choose you. And if they ever tell you you're not welcome, you say, "Good, I didn't come here to be welcome. I came to stop bleeding." Then you stand tall, walk out the door, and never look back. Because peace isn't a place they give you, it's the place you reclaim when you finally say enough. What do you do when the people you love most are the ones who take everything from you, leaving you empty and exhausted? I always thought love meant sacrifice, that being needed was the same as being wanted. But when my family constantly took from me without giving anything in return, I realized I was only being used. After years of paying their bills, covering for their mistakes, and constantly being the one to fix things, the straw that broke the camel's back finally came on Easter. They locked me out, and that was the moment I decided. I was done. Cutting them off wasn't easy. I had spent my whole life being the responsible one, the dependable one. But after so many years of feeling unappreciated, of being the family ATM, something inside me shifted. It was no longer about being the good son. No, it was about being good to myself. As I walked away from that house, cutting the ties that had been strangling me, I felt a strange mix of fear and freedom. There was so much guilt in my heart, but there was also something new space. A space to breathe, to rediscover myself, and to finally stop giving when I was always left empty. So here's the question I have for you. Have you ever felt like you were giving everything and getting nothing in return? What would it take for you to finally say, enough? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've ever had to make that tough decision, or even if you're just starting to think about it, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. You deserve to feel whole again, and you don't have to do it alone.